So we're here today with David Schilling, and we're going to listen to a little bit about his healing journey, and hopefully he'll be able to take us kind of behind the scenes of that. So, David, would you be able to share a little bit of what life looked like before your diagnosis?
Sure. Before I was diagnosed, it was around April or May of 2021. I just started to feel like I had a persistent low-grade flu. Didn't really know what was going on. I just didn't feel good all the time. I didn't have the energy that I needed. I was actually working from home, and I was wondering if I had the flu, if I had caught COVID again, or just what it was. I didn't have the energy to play with my kids. They wanted me to go bicycling with them or play tennis. And most days I just had the energy to sit on the couch and do nothing. And really didn't know what was going on. Um, Around that time, I noticed in my left in my neck on the left side, a lymph node was swelling. And I was also having urinary issues. It was hard to use the restroom, and I had a schedule for seeing a urologist, which wasn't going to be till October. So I started the journey with my general practitioner, and he ran a number of tests, found swollen lymph nodes in my neck, found some in my chest as well, and then from there, he ordered a PSA test, which, let's see, I forget exactly when. It was either July or August. It was slightly elevated. I think it was around maybe around a 10. I think that was July. Then I think August it was around 30, and then September it was around 72. And by that time, I got to see the oncologist, and everything just kind of went from there. We got the biopsy and found out definitely by the end of October, beginning of November, that it was stage 4 prostate cancer.
Wow.
And there were metastases into the lymph nodes in my neck and in my chest, and actually some in my abdomen as well.
Wow. That must have been pretty shocking news to get that.
It was, especially talking to the I don't remember if it was the urologist or the oncologist who told me that, no, it was the urologist who told me that this was extremely aggressive form of prostate cancer, and it was it was not a good thing. Well, it was not a good situation because they got me on hormone therapy very quickly. I saw the oncologist about 3 weeks after my biopsy. And the urologist actually started me on, I forget, I think it was Lupron shots,
Okay.
which helped to slow it down. But the oncologist told me that, we'll do the shots, we'll get you on hormone therapy, and we'll get that as a starting base. But my oncologist was amazing because he just flat out said, this is not a cure. I've seen this work for people for 5 years, for 15 years. Some it's worked for 5 days. We'll do this until it doesn't work. So that I knew this wasn't a cure, but I had never intended to go completely with our traditional Western medicine for cancer if I ever came up with cancer.
Interesting. And so what kind of prompted you to do maybe more research, or how did you come to the decision of using the Gerson therapy?
Well, there are a couple of ways I found out about Gerson. In 1997, I was actually doing my intern year, and I was serving my internship at a church in Michigan. There was
Wow.
a lady there who had some terrible, terrible cancer. I don't remember what it was, but it was just, she was not in good shape. And I met her about a month after I got there because she had just come back from Mexico, where the pastor I was serving under told me that she had gone there to find some miracle cure. Now he had said that with a little bit of derision in his voice, But I watched this woman come back to Frankenmuth she was in a wheelchair, and this is, not the standard wheelchair I can push myself. This was the very, very comfortable cushions. She could barely move her head, and her husband pushed her around. I saw her go from that wheelchair to a walker to a cane, and by the time I left a year later, she was walking most of the time without a cane. I didn't know at the time it was Gerson, but she had described it and talked about whole foods and plant-based and things like that. And I figured, well, that sounds like a good way to go if I ever get cancer. It was about 10 years later, somewhere around 2007, 2010, my wife and I found a number of documentaries on Netflix. One was The Gerson Miracle, I think it was. There was a couple others. I can't remember what they all were, but that's the Gerson Miracle video is the one I remember. And after watching that, we looked at each other and said, we have to change our lives. And if we ever get cancer, we're going the Gerson way. So we did change our lives. I actually wound up doing a juice cleanse for about 60 days. And then after that was eating vegetarian, but I never gave up dairy and I never gave up cheese, which is kind of funny because I found I'm lactose intolerant, so I should never have been eating it in the first place. But that's really where it came from. It came from meeting that lady back in '97 and then finding the videos on Netflix.
Wow, that's awesome. Me and my family also watched a lot of those same documentaries as well, and probably around that same time, 2007, 2008. And so when you were diagnosed and you were starting to kind of like probably take your treatment in another direction, where did you start the Gerson therapy?
Well, I actually started at the Health Institute in Tijuana. We actually started researching what we would need as we were saving the money. So we got the juicer in place and started to do some of the juices. We started to eat some of the Gerson way, and that would have been in November or December. Oh, my wife's here. So that would have been in November, December of 2021 when we started eating Gerson. Okay.
Oh yeah, we started 2021 when we found out. We started definitely going more whole plant, whole food plant based. And we started gathering our Gerson materials, so reading the books and starting moving towards that. But it really wasn't until after we went to the Health Institute to Tijuana, kind of did our boot camp. Yeah. We called it boot camp.
Yeah.
That we really learned how and found out about the soup being really part of the powerhouse to it. And yeah.
And we were there end of April of 2022, so roughly 7-8 months after I was diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
We had done a little bit here and there before we got there, but like Laura said, it was primarily after.
Yeah. We also did some more research, watched more of the videos and really just started that mind setting.
Wonderful. And so when you were kind of at the clinic, it sounded like you guys were taking this like a learning opportunity while you were there, and you were picking up on a lot of the different ways that the therapy was being used there versus how you were doing it at home first. When you were there, what was your experience like?
Oh,
it was different for both of us.
Yeah.
Once you,
it was really amazing because I remember getting there and it was a whirlwind of activity, getting lab work and meeting with the doctor and getting set up for the coffee enemas, which shocked me. Like they wanted me to do that right away, but it's what I had to do to heal. So it just started to flow right into being part of what I did. I found very quickly what healing reactions were and how there were some days I just didn't feel the best, but it was such a wonderful place of rest and healing. I remember the first day I was there, I think we went for a walk down to see the ocean. And about 3-4 days later, I think actually it was about a week later, was the next time I was either feeling well enough or had time to walk down to the ocean. And it was so amazing to me that I barely had the energy to walk down and walk back, because I really was using all my energy for healing. And yet it was the perfect place to be, and where I needed to be.
It was a good place too. You know, we were able to connect with a couple of other people who were there. You know, we had expected, you know, the big communal dining, but I guess because of COVID, they were still doing the individual, you know, your tables, and then the plates and trays were being brought to us. But they took such good care of us, and helped us to feel very comfortable from the very beginning. And like you said, it was a place where we went and relaxed, and it was like a retreat, you know. I found, like, for myself too, just being away and slowing myself down, I had my own healing to do that way. Yeah.
I think it's great because usually we at the Gerson Institute recommend that people bring someone with them so that they have that support, and they can have someone else outside of themselves who's learned and experienced that firsthand, which I think is really important. So then that person can be able to be a really strong support for them. So it sounded like you guys had the juicer already before you went. And so would you be able to tell me a little bit about your transition back home and what that looked like?
That was a bit of an adventure.
Yeah.
We actually already had the pots we needed. We had, well, before we got married, we went to some presentation where we actually bought stainless steel pots that were, well, we still have them today, and they fit the bill, so we didn't have to worry about that. And we had the knives, but the biggest thing was sourcing the carrots, I think.
Yeah, my goodness, so many carrots. We had lived in Florida at the time, and Publix was the store there. They sold 25-pound bags of juicing organic carrots. Yep. So that was awesome. That was easy to do. But it felt, at first, it felt a little overwhelming. Like, I don't know how to make the bread. I can make the soup, and it was a lot of learning how to recook. You know, can't use oil. You don't need to season it. It's just, in some ways, it's easier. I'm like, just throw it in the pot. Don't burn it.
Yes, but even that sometimes is a feat. I know that you're cooking without water, you're cooking without oil, and so to help protect something from burning, it can be a little bit of a learning curve. So, so
it was before going, you know, we're so optimistic. Oh yeah, we got like these glass bottles. We're gonna put it in. We bought a distiller, right?
Oh yeah.
We bought the tabletop distiller, you know, and then realized we probably need two. Just so much to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but having to come back and do it all for yourself, and you know, it was different.
Yeah. And then I think it was the second week I actually got COVID while I'm going through this.
Wow.
So there's one day Laura went off to work and I'm at home, and I actually couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't do anything for myself. And after about 4 hours, she came back home from work and was able to help me get through everything for that day. But it was a shock to be doing the therapy with COVID.
Yeah, so different.
Yeah, and I know,
Esther.
yes, and I think that, you know, the clinic was doing a lot of precautions for during that time of traveling to make sure, because it can be very difficult for a cancer patient to get any viral illness. It can be, like you said, it can take you out, and then you have to provide a lot of the juices and the foods, and so it can be kind of a debilitating situation. So
I think having gone through COVID, or excuse me, Gerson, helped him get over it quickly. I mean, it was not a very long bout at all, just a couple days.
Yeah, 3-4 days at the most.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. And so what other things happened as you went back home? What did the therapy look like for you?
Well, when we got home, it was 4 enemas a day. So I'd get up, well, let's see, it was the first few months were kind of weird because I was still working from home. No, wait.
You were back in the office.
I had actually taken a new job with at the same place Laura works.
Mm-hmm.
I was working as a liaison between the church and the school that she was serving. That's right. So I would get up early in the morning, make take care of my first enema detox, as our family calls them, and then let's see. Oh yeah, the night before, the kids would make oatmeal for me and coffee and tea as needed.
They wouldn't make the oatmeal. No, it was no, because those was fresh in the morning.
Oh,
because you wanted your gruel pops.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Josh made oatmeal in the mornings.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Emma did coffee and tea at night.
Okay.
Yeah, they were a big help. We had 2 children. They're teens, teen and 20. Very helpful.
Yeah.
Supportive.
But I'd get up early, take care of the first morning detox, take Laura to work, come back, make my juices after I ate. And I'd have to make a few extra bits of carrot juice that I could take with me, make sure I had food for the day. Then I'd head off to work. Then we come home and I'd do more juicing and the second enema. No, actually, no, I did the second enema before I left for work. And then we'd come home, juice right away and make meals, take care of the third enema of the day, and then do some cleaning, do some resting, and the last enema before I went to bed.
Yeah. Oh.
The best part is we had a very understanding faculty, because around 2:00 I would run out of energy, so I'd go lie down in the mother's room or in the church and take a nap for half an hour. But everybody understood and everybody was open to it because they wanted to see me heal, and they were as helpful as they could be.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. I think that that's really important. And so it sounds like you guys had a pretty good routine down. And so you shared that while you were at the clinic, you went through some healing reactions. When you got home, did you have any other kind of like anything unexpected along the way, whether that be a healing reaction or anything else?
Yeah, you want to tell them about those?
You got it. Yeah.
Every now and then I would have days where I just didn't feel good or didn't feel right. There were a couple days that I was fighting to control my anger because I just wanted to lash out at people, and I knew that it wasn't anything they had done. I knew that it was just I was releasing something. One very interesting reaction I had, I was in my office at the church, and I forget what it was. I was feeling frustrated. I was feeling upset, and something that I was either told or had gotten in an email set me off. And I actually punched the wall right above my light switch, which after I did that, I realized I am actually releasing some hurt and frustration from 15 years ago, where I had actually punched a different wall in the exact same spot in a different office because I was so angry and upset. It wasn't that I was upset with people at the time, but I have a tendency to hit walls every now and then when I'm very upset.
Not too much.
Well, that's the third time
I have to say though, the reason why we notice like the anger, the frustration, that because this is not how he usually operates. He's usually very even keel, very easygoing. Of course you get frustrated, right? But never a big emotional outburst.
Yeah.
So that's different. That was different.
Most of the time it was more emotional. Like I would find myself crying for no reason. A couple times we were shopping at a store for food, and I'm just like, I'm going to the car, and I'd be sobbing in the car. There's one time I remember I walked into the kitchen and I just collapsed on the kitchen floor sobbing. And we didn't have any idea what was wrong. And we knew it was a healing reaction. Took a little while to get up off the floor and sit down at the kitchen table. Laura got me some juice and some gruel. I went and detoxed and laid down for half an hour, but I started to feel better with the juice and with the gruel. I felt a whole lot better after the detox. And then once I woke up from the 20, 30-minute nap, I was back to myself. But that was probably the roughest healing reaction I'd ever had.
Yeah.
He had some interesting physical that were kind of like at the clinic. He had a niacin flush, but it was a very extreme flush. I mean, like very unusual. And then we reflected back shortly after we were married. This is over 20 years ago. He had a very bad sunburn, like with some blistering.
Mm-hmm.
And so where he flushed was where that sunburn really hit. So I thought it was funny you were healing that sunburn from decades ago.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Some people have talked about kind of like this healing process can be like an onion. And so different layers each day and each month can kind of come to the surface. And a lot of the emotional healing reactions, I think we don't always consider how much of that can be stored in our bodies. And when we start to detoxify and then re-nourish our body, how much of that actually can be released. And so you're not alone. I've heard of patients throwing plates and cups. So it's definitely something where anger is something that can be a healing reaction that sometimes has to come out. And there's a lot of different ways that can be expressed. So I'm thinking that one of the things that I'm curious about is how are you kind of monitoring your condition along the way? Because you started in 2021 and it's for those who might be watching this in the future, is September 14th of 2023. So I'm curious, how are you monitoring your condition along the way?
I've been actually doing well, not quite monthly. I tried to do monthly, but it turned into 2 to 3 months. I would get the lab work done, and I've been trying to keep it as a monthly ritual, but life has gotten in my way, unfortunately. Nevertheless, I'd get the lab work done, and then I was actually working directly with Dr. Cervantes from the Health Institute. So every 2 to 3 months, I would set the appointment with him, and he'd go over my lab work. And well, we had been living in Florida at the time. We just recently moved to San Diego back in
super close now.
Yeah, what was it? July. So that was an adventure in and of itself. And I have, let's see, we got here in July. I was supposed to have connected with him in August to see about coming down for the labs and the tests, but haven't done so yet. So that's my next thing on the agenda, is to connect and see when we can get that scheduled.
Yeah. Did you tell him to revisit?
No.
So about a year later, right? So we went in April. In July this year, he actually went back to the Health Institute for a week. So he was able to go there and just kind of like reboot a little bit and
Yeah.
So that was kind of a follow-up, and they did the ultrasound again. So being able to compare the results from one year to the next, huge difference.
Oh yeah,
like huge difference.
The ultrasound, well, the lymph nodes here they went down almost right away. Yeah. And but since then the ultrasound confirmed this lymph node, the ones in my chest and the ones in my abdomen, were completely gone. My prostate actually looked extremely good, just a little polyp on one of the sides, and I'd had a Gleason score of 8 with 9 out of the 12 sections they biopsied showing cancer. So to hear that was amazing.
Wow.
My liver was my liver was fatty when we went the first year, and then when we came back, it was completely fine. My kidneys are looking good. My gallbladder is in perfect health, and that's all from being on the Gerson therapy. In fact, I was 240 pounds when we started back in April of 2022, and when I got back to Gerson in July, it was 180 pounds.
Wow.
And I have a comparison side-by-side picture out by the pool. And it's funny because in the first picture, I had been in the sun more regularly and I was paler. And in the second picture, I hadn't been in the sun all that often and I was healthier and had a better glow about my skin. So it's just amazing.
Yes, maybe a little carrot glow.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's a carrot stash in the carrot
Nose, yeah.
because even the juice is like goes right there.
I used to have orange fingers all the time, but then I started wearing gloves when I was juicing.
That'll help. So I'm curious, so you have shared a little bit of kind of this checkup at the clinic. Was there anything before that that you were kind of like moving towards thinking you're in more of a recovery state?
He had in Florida, we haven't found doctors here yet, but following up with his oncologist, and it was pretty soon after returning from Gerson.
Yeah,
that
December of 2022.
He said, you're in remission.
Yep.
You know, went from stage 4 to remission, you know, just and then checking his PSA levels through the standard doctors, you know, the urologist too, just saying you're doing well. So we have to find those medical doctors here, those I don't know, oncologist or whatever.
Urologist, yeah.
Urologist. I guess we're not feeling like, oh, we have to because of staying on the protocols, you know, and being committed to it for at least another 12 months.
Oh yeah.
Right. So feeling that that's going to really give them that strong foundation that maybe we won't have to do another biopsy.
Yeah.
Just
be wonderful.
No. The first one is up.
He does not want.
I keep saying it's another 12 to 18 months. I know the therapy is generally 2 years and I'm coming up on 2 years, but I always equate it to a marathon, training for a marathon. You don't run 26 miles to get ready for a marathon. You run 30 or 40 or 50. Because if you run 26, then you miss the point 2 that you have at the very end of the race. And, you know, if I don't figure out another 12 to 18 months, I won't get completely through this because I'm still looking forward to the day when I get off the hormone blockers that I'm on. They, in all honesty, they helped slow down the cancer so that the Gerson therapy could work. Because without them, both the urologist and the oncologist hinted clearly that had we not caught it, I might not have made it through 2022. And now here I am, and still going. All thanks to the Gerson therapy.
That was the hardest thing, talking to the oncologist. You know, saying, well, it's already metastasized, so surgery's not going to really be a thing that we're going to pursue. We could go with chemo, but let's save that for when the hormone therapy stops working.
Yeah.
It was we're going to do this, but it's not going to work after a few more for a little while. Then we'll do this other more aggressive thing. And I'm like, oh, wonderful. So maybe I have 5 more good years with him, and then 10 crummy years, and that's it. You know, whereas Gerson just really said, hey, you know, we're going to have another 25 years.
Yeah.
You know? So that's wonderful. 25 happy years, healthy years, not just crummy ones in bed.
Great point. I'm thankful for you sharing that, because I think that some people do think that it's kind of like one or the other. And it was great that you were able to use those hormone blockers, because like you said, sometimes cancer can progress very aggressively and it's very quick. And the Gerson therapy, it can be very powerful, but sometimes it takes a lot for the body to be able to get ahead of a process that's already kind of like a rock tumbling down a hill. It has a certain momentum to it. And so being able to take advantage of another therapy in order to help the Gerson therapy be able to serve you well is a great point. So I've been asking each person kind of the same question as we come to a little bit of a close. So I'm wondering, what do you feel contributed the most to your recovery?
You know, I'm so soup.
That's soup, huh?
You know,
Following the therapy and my family who helped me. I work really, really hard to follow the therapy, and if somebody asks me, I will say I probably am successful 85 to 90% of the time. And it's not because I'm cheating and going out for this snack or that snack. I haven't eaten anything that's not on the diet. Well, except pineapple. I found out that I shouldn't eat pineapple, and so I dropped that right away. But the 15% that I'm not being successful is life got in the way and I forgot this supplement, or I missed that juice, or I haven't made my green juice for a week because of my schedule, and I got to get back on that.
yeah, it's more of an omission rather than substitute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I don't have something, it just doesn't go in the soup, so to speak. But the therapy, my family, and well, in all honesty, the fact that the Lord has blessed our family and my healing, because that was I was not in a good place when this all started, and we found out what I had.
You know, he was all in, that he just kind of like flipped that little switch or locked something off. It's like, if it's not on the therapy, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. And he's just like, not even a consideration. So in that way, he's all in. So there's no like the cheating, about I can sneak this or sneak that, and I don't want to be like, oh, his family, but we met a couple people the first time there who were doing it alone. One was starting it by himself, and another lady, she had finished a year, came back for a reboot. That gave us the idea, and she had done it herself, through COVID, and like, that's so hard, who builds you up, who's going to hear you when you want to scream, and yeah, and just
Yeah.
I think about them, and I hope they find somebody.
Yeah, it can be different.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it's been a very therapeutic thing to just have that type of support amongst this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think David's getting to a point too where now he can be supportive to other people, finding those online groups and sharing his experience and his hints and tips. I think that kind of it gives, I've seen you give you some purpose.
Oh yeah.
As well.
That it does.
Yeah. Especially not working and having grown-ups to talk to. I work with children, so it's always like, it's so great when you can talk to a grown-up. So
yes, I understand that. And so kind of on that same topic, do you guys have anything that you would like to share with someone who might be early in their journey or just starting the Gerson therapy?
I guess one thing just remember, it is hard to start, but you'll find your rhythm, you'll find your patterns, you'll find your habits, and it might take a month, it might take just a couple weeks, it might take 3 months, but you'll get it. It'll get easier and easier. In connection with that is do everything you can to set up systems.
Yeah.
Because before we it was either before we went or shortly after we came back, Laura set up all my systems. We got the glass bottles we needed for storing distilled water. We got into the pattern of making distilled water. We started with one distiller, and then we had some warranty issues, so we got a second distiller to cover the time, and then we found a pattern of running one and then the other, and running one and then the other, or both if we need it right away. We had systems for storing the coffee for the tea.
Mhm.
And we had systems with our daughter helping us make the coffee and tea, and my son making the oatmeal and the gruel.
Yeah.
So
The kitchen really is the power, house of everything you do. The kitchen and the bathroom. But like you said, setting up systems and setting up stations.
Yeah.
Here's the dry goods station where we've got the coffee, tea, oatmeal, and pau de arco. Here's the distiller station. Here's the juicing station. We had 2 drawers in the fridge. One was labeled soup, and the other was organic. Here's where all your soup and all your organic went.
Mm.
Where are you going to store even like, this is my oatmeal bowl. Here's the oatmeal station. That when you do that, it makes it so much more easier. I mean, kind of taking that hint off of visiting the Health Institute.
Mhm.
You see the kitchen, they've got their stations, they've got the juice lady. Oh my goodness, she will find you.
Yes, and I think it's a great point to be able to kind of break that up, so then it feels a little bit more manageable, and you have everything you need in a certain area for a specific task. And I
Yeah.
can
And when you're tired, you can just do that one thing.
Yeah.
And finding a support group, whether it's local, physical, like maybe part of your family, your church, or your community, or even finding an online community of people who are going through it, so you can talk to the people who know you, and then talk doing it's good, yeah.
One other thing we did too is it was Laura's idea. Actually, we bought a massage table. We actually we didn't have enough room in our bathroom, but we had
enough.
we had enough room, but not as much room as we'd like for it to fit. But we were able to put that in there, and I used that for my enema table, so I didn't have to get up off the floor, because the first probably 6 months getting up off the floor was next to impossible.
Dicey.
Now that we moved, we don't have any space in the bathroom for it or in our bedroom, so I'm lying on our floor on basically a sleeping a childcare sleeping mat just outside the bathroom door. But I now have the strength to get up and down and to get where I need to get as quickly as I need to, or as slowly, depending on the day. So a massage table might be an option for people who can utilize it.
Yeah, I've even heard of people having benches built, and then kind of like how you have a window seat, they'll make a cushion similar to that to place on it as well. So then it might be something that's a little smaller that could fit in a bathroom.
Sure.
But not everybody has the ability to custom make an enema bench. So
just snag one from Tijuana.
Yeah.
Jen wasn't one when we got here.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for sharing all of this. It's been great. And I hope we'll be able to be in touch with you again soon. It'll be great.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. Thank you so much for the opportunity.